Welcome back, everyone. It is Hackintosh time. According to my computer, this is a 2019 Cheese Grater Mac Pro. But I'll let you in on a little secret. It really isn't. We'll get into that soon. Okay, so first we are gonna assume that you are actually using a PC and don't have access to a real Mac. In this case, you can use VMware. Before you go about installing macOS on VMware, you're gonna need the unlock script. Yeah, right here, Windows, and you're gonna need to run this. So you would open up command prompt, and then you can just drag and drop here, or you can cd into this. So you would copy cd, control V, and then you would just type in unlock.exe, hit enter, boom, and it'll allow you to install macOS on VMware. But I already did that, so we're just going to power on this virtual machine. And here's our Apple symbol, because I already did this to get macOS set up on my machine. I am not going to show you guys how to do the whole opencore setup. That's going to take a lot more time than I have allotted for this video. However, Chris Titus Tech makes an amazing video on it, and I will link to that. And as well as Chris Titus Tech, there's also the official opencore guide. However, what I ended up doing was, and this is since I have an OEM pre-built machine, is I just found an opencore configuration on GitHub that someone else built for this machine, which you can do as well if you want to go down that route. But I'm just going to walk you through the general steps of how to get macOS running on non-Apple hardware. So first we're going to log in to our very slow and very buggy VM. Now, I don't think I actually have Monterey in here. I have Big Sur though, okay. So we'll show that. Gonna take our flash drive, plug it in. Now we're just gonna connect to virtual machine. No, I don't want to update. I want to take this EFI though. This is my working one, but I'll show you how to structure the partitions and everything. We'll just stick it here. Next, what you want to do when it actually gets its shit together is you want to go into disk utility. So we're going to go into disk utility, and once it loads up and it sees the flash drive, okay, we're going to eviscerate everything. So now we're going to change this to macOS extended journaled. Make sure it's on the GUID partition map. My volume. You can really name it to whatever you want. I'm going with my volume because this is going to be the next part. We'll Command Q. Now we'll go over to Safari real quick. And if you know the command, by all means, you could just open up Terminal and type it in. I never bothered to learn the flash commands for macOS because they're just long and tedious. But you can go to Apple's website, they provide it. Copy. Paste. Enter in your root password. Now do keep in mind, make the EFI partition after it flashes, not before it flashes. And I don't know if this was just a bug with High Sierra, although I was having a lot of weird issues with High Sierra in a VM. When I had the EFI partition set up with the actual volume I wanted to write to, it was always throwing me a weird error. So it wouldn't actually flash to the drive, but when I just created a blank install medium, because you can go in and partition it later on, and after you go in and write the medium to your flash drive, you can make the 512 megabyte EFI partition no problem, and that will allow you to do what you need to do. And yeah, so we're just gonna let this continue to flash. Be back in a moment. Now it is finished, so now I'm gonna show you how you make the EFI, and we'll just close out of this crap. We're just gonna go back to disk utility. Now you see we have install macOS Big Sur. We want to actually select the external medium itself, in this case the USB SanDisk. You might want to adjust, because chances are your disk utility looks like this, and yeah, you can partition it, but I like to hit this and select show all devices, select my device, and then hit partition. Now, this is where it's interesting. Order is important, so work bottom up. So we're going to change this to megabytes, make this 512, make sure it actually applies. Gonna make this MS-DOS FAT, or FAT32, and we're gonna rename this to EFI. Now we'll just hit apply, and it'll go ahead and partition this real quick. Now, interestingly enough, the computer's actually smart enough that when it sees opencore, it'll know, hey, this is the EFI partition, I need to go and boot from here. So now that the EFI is created, we'll close out of this, open up Finder, grab our EFI, which I am going to link everything down below. Copy this over, paste. Now, something to note before you go ahead is need to make sure these are all right, your config is set up properly, and make sure, because I didn't have this and I was having issues booting macOS, make sure you have Open Canopy, make sure you have Open Runtime, and hfsplus.efi. So now that that's completed, see you in a bit. So for one, I would like to apologize for the shitty viewing angle. I don't have a capture card and I'm not moving my camera right now. It's set up in a very particular way. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna just hard power this off. We're gonna turn it on. Spam the hell out of the F12 key. Some people it may be a little different for the boot menu. For me, it's F12. Now we'll go over and look for our USB partition 3. We'll hit enter. And now it gives us a boot menu. This is opencore. So now we'll just let this boot. Should be insanely quick, especially when it initializes the display. You'll actually see it because the Apple symbol in the loading bar will get a lot smaller. So, see? Right here. And now it's doing its thing. And it should be just about... Yeah. I'm guessing it's a little buggy. Oh well, things happen. I'll just wait for it to boot now. And here we are, the macOS recovery. 1 second. Okay, so what you want to do, and I apologize you can't see it well, but I'm not moving the camera. Go into disk utility. You want to format your target partition as APFS. Then you're going to go in and hit install macOS, and it'll bring you to the installer screen. But since I already installed macOS, we're not going to do that. So we'll be back. Alright, so we're back into macOS. This is macOS Monterey. As you can see, it's a 3.4 gigahertz Xeon, 16 gigs of RAM. So I actually flashed this from within Sonoma. It turns out Sonoma, and I learned this the hard way, doesn't support this GPU, so I had GPU driver issues. Also, something to consider, make sure if you're using a 144 hertz screen that it is set to display port 1.4. Otherwise, you're going to have terrible flickering. Like, it'll just turn on or off. It'll turn on and off over and over again. And this is kind of an issue in Linux. It's manageable in Linux. It is horrible in macOS. We got this screen, which is the static one, completely functionally useless. It registers my TV as a 61 inch, even though it's a 43 inch. I don't know why. And since my SM BIOS is a Mac Pro 2019, I'm having some layout issues and this memory issue. There are ways to fix it. I just don't really care enough to fix it. And as we can see, we'll go into terminal. I'll just blow this up for you. NeoFetch. And see, NeoFetch knows this is a Hackintosh. But yeah, everything's here. Everything works. So I will link everything in the description. I will provide the resources, but I'm not going to showcase the very tedious and very long process of building OBS. If you can find a pre-built one for your hardware, do it. Did I say building OBS? My bad, I meant opencore. Besides the point. Anyway, if you can find a pre-built opencore configuration for your hardware, absolutely do it. It is such a time saver. And the thing about installing macOS on PC hardware is it's a fun little project, but you have to not value your time to want to do it because, well, it is time consuming. You have to get all the checks just right, and you have to play with the boot arguments, and you have to make sure you have the right SSDTs and the right drivers, it really takes a long time, and there's a reason why I didn't do it in this video. So there are a couple of downsides, but overall this is more than usable, and I do recommend that if you have a need for macOS, just build a Hackintosh. Don't pay Apple all of this money for underpowered hardware. Yes, I know they have their Apple Silicon now, so it's kind of a moot point, but still, for what you get for the price, absolutely worth it. Anyway, that's it guys, so I'll throw this video together real quick and let me know what you think. Thank you and have a wonderful night.